Morning, everybody.
Morning.
This week's parsha talks about Vayeira Hashem. God revealed himself to Avram, and the story is told of the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Chabad Rebbe, when he was a little child, that when he came home from school and he learned this story, he was crying. He came crying to his grandfather, the Alter Rebbe, Reb Shneir Zalman, the first Chabad Rebbe, and he said, "It's not fair. Why is it that Hashem revealed himself to Avram, but he doesn't reveal himself to me? I also want to have a revelation from Hashem." We get to read about it. Such a beautiful story in the Torah. What's going on? So the Alter Rebbe thought for a moment, and he says, as a Yid, if a Jew is ready to circumcise himself when he's 99 years old, he is worthwhile that God should reveal himself to him. Meaning to say that at that age, he's still willing to give up something and to go the extra mile. So then, that person is worthy that Hashem should reveal himself. So there's a story of a town that everybody there was, in the olden days, when you had a town, everybody was involved. It was one big community. But there was one man that stood out. He was the tailor. He was not observant. He was not part of the town, even though he came from the same background, the same education, and sort of to speak. He had his own lifestyle that he lived. And most people stayed away from him because they didn't want to attach themselves to that type of environment. But he was the tailor, and when people needed to have some work done, they would go to him and they would pay him. This man would spend most of his time in the Beis Marzeach, in the place where the people drink and have a good time. One day, there's a commotion. There's a discussion in the synagogue. So the rabbi goes to see what's happening. They tell the rabbi, "It's not for you." He says, "No, what's going on?" He says, "Listen, the tailor passed away, and we need a minyan for his funeral. And nobody's really running to be, everybody, is a big, important person. People want to participate. But here, it's like a lot of people don't really, they look down on him." So the rabbi says, "Wow, the tailor passed away." He started to cry, started to wail. He says, "Let me know when the funeral is. I must be there to pay my respects to him. I have to be there." So when the people heard that, they realized perhaps this man is a hidden tzaddik. They say in the world you have 36 hidden righteous people in every generation, and they conduct themselves from outside like regular people, if not even less than that, but really they're secret tzaddikim, and the rabbi is a pretty holy man, so most probably the rabbi knew that this man is a holy tzaddik, and we messed up. We thought we judged him. We thought he was really not so involved in Judaism, but really, perhaps he was more than all of us. So we all have to go to this funeral and ask for forgiveness. So the whole town came to the funeral. Everybody was crying, and everybody went over to the coffin. They all asked for forgiveness. We didn't respect you enough. We looked down on you. And the funeral was over, and everybody went home. There was another great big rabbi, a visiting rabbi that was there. He watched the whole show. And he goes over to the rabbi of the town and says, "Listen, for the people in the town, you could fool them. But I can see things just like you can see things. And I can tell you this guy was no tzaddik nister. He was not a hidden tzaddik. So what was this whole game that you were playing, this whole presentation that you made as if he was a holy man?" So the rabbi says, "I'll tell you a story. A couple of weeks ago, we had a wedding over here. We married off a Yasim and a Yisema, two people. They didn't have orphans. They didn't have any parents. And we adopted the girl. So I was making the wedding. I was representing the girl. And I paid for whatever I could pay for. I collected whatever I could collect to pay for the wedding. I had to pay for both sides. And a week before the wedding, the Khatan, the groom, comes over to me and tells me he doesn't have a talis. He doesn't have a talis. And by then, you have to put the talis on under the chuppah. And if nobody sees that you have a talit, that's it. You're out of the game. It's very, very, very embarrassing. So he told the rabbi he needs to have a talis. The rabbi says, "Listen, I don't have any more money. I'll get you one in a couple weeks." He says, "Listen, I cannot go to the chuppah without a talis." So the rabbi says, "Okay, I'm going to try." He doesn't know where he's going to get the money. So he starts thinking where he's going to walk. He's walking downtown. Where could he go? And he stops in front of a house and he knocks on the door, and it happens to be the tailor's house. He goes into the tailor's house. He tells the tailor, "Listen, this is the story. What can you do for me?" The tailor says, "Listen, I live on a very tight budget. I'm not exactly the most respected person here in town, so it's not like everybody's running to me to do their work. But I could give you 1 ruble. The talis was 10 rubles or whatever it was. I could give you 1." So the rabbi said, "Thank you. It's a big 10%. That's a big start." So he takes it and he goes and he gives him a blessing. "Thank you very much." And he's walking. He hears somebody running after him. He turns around and sees the tailor. The tailor says, "I have a question for you. If I have my whole life savings, another 9 ruble. If I give it to you, am I guaranteed a share in the world to come? I wasn't such a good man. I'm not such a good person. I don't, But if you're willing to guarantee me a share in the world to come, I'm giving it to you." The rabbi says, "Listen, you're doing such a mitzvah of achnasas kala, achnasas chassan, marrying off two orphans. What could be bigger than, what could be greater than that? Of course you get a share in the world to come." So he gives him the 9 ruble. That's it. So he gave away all his money to help this. They said a guy like that can give everything up to help somebody else, he is worthy to have a share in the world to come, and he is worthy for everybody to come and give him his last respect. So this is the idea in this week's parsha, that we come to value that when a person does a mitzvah and you sacrifice, you give up something for it, you change, you go out of your skin to do the mitzvah, there in itself, that's a revelation of Hashem. Hashem should help us. We should be able to do it. We should be able to grow. We should have the revelation. We should be zoichet to the ultimate revelation, the coming of Mashiach Tzidkeinu Meinu Meinu Neymar.